Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.
Greetings, race fans, and welcome to Apex Racing TV's presentation of the Radical Esports Cup. J.R. Gregory here with you on the call. Beside me in the commentary booth, my partner, Aaron Smith, and in the production facility, Josh Phoenix Tears Wilkie. And the star of today's show, as always, the Radical SR10, one of the purest sports car experiences on iRacing, propelled by a 450 horsepower four-cylinder turbo, a full 1,000 pounds lighter than an MX-5 Cup car. No traction control, no anti-lock brakes. The SR10 can be a handful, but mastering this car will make you better in every car that you drive. And folks, we are showing the top split of the public server here, 2100 GMT Friday, as we do every week. So if you'd like to give these radicals a whirl, sign up, show up, and if you make the top split, you can appear here on Apex Racing TV with some of the best radical drivers in the world. And we are getting down to the end of the season here, but still a couple of great tracks upcoming next week. These drivers will be donating control arms and body panels to the walls of the Long Beach Grand Prix street circuit, and following that, the season finale at the Green Hell itself, the Nordschleife. But as you see, season 1, week 10 of 2025 brings us to Barcelona. The circuit of Barcelona Catalunya was built in 1991 and hosted the F1 Spanish Grand Prix that year. And along with Formula One, it is current host to Grand Prix motorcycle racing, European Le Mans, the 24 Hours of Barcelona, GT World Challenge Europe, and TCR Europe. And today's configuration, 2.8 miles, 4.7 clicks, 14 corners. And that's an important number because that 14 means that we're omitting that horrible final chicane coming on to the pit straight. And the record here with this configuration is held by Max Verstappen, set in 2023 of a 1:16.330. And for you Verstappen fans, you will know that Max won here in his first appearance for Red Bull, becoming the youngest ever winner, the youngest ever podium finisher, and the first Dutchman to win a Formula One race. So a big track here for Max Verstappen. So Aaron, I managed to throw down some laps out here prior to the broadcast, and a couple of things stood out. One is a pretty good track for the Radical, a lot of kind of medium speed corners that take advantage of the Radical's downforce and mechanical grip. But the one kind of red flag for me, I think, on this track is going to be tire wear, particularly in turn 3, that long grinding right-hander at the beginning of the lap. And these drivers are going to have to be patient there and are going to have to trail brake every place they can on the track in order to preserve those fronts. But what do you think we're going to see out of these guys today?
Well, luckily, iRacing doesn't have really a proper puncher system, so I don't think we're going to see any tyres flying or carcasses anywhere along the track. But if it was in real life, we'd definitely be seeing some drivers struggling. Those left-hand side tyres are going to be crying for help by the end of these 16 laps that we have here in Spain. Like you mentioned, turn 3, a very, very tricky corner by itself, hanging the car all the way out to dry. But luckily, these guys do, of course, have some pretty decent downforce to aid those tyres along the way. But, I mean, just look at the amount of lock that Caracapola's had to put around that corner. That's definitely going to be overheating those outside tyres. And it's not just turn 3. Of course, remember, turn 9, the nearly flat out right-hander. That's going to be very, very tricky. And then the final 3 corners as well, pretty high speed. Oh, that's four-wheel drifting if I've ever seen it for Denny Kirakopolis through, I believe that was turn 5. So this lap, well, he's not going to be able to finish it. Guessing he's just getting at least a little bit more practice in as the session has advanced. But yeah, I think we should see some pretty good racing. These Radicals have done it all throughout the season so far, and hopefully will continue to do so today.
Yeah, and some great camera work there by Josh and Denise showing what happens when you overheat those front tires, just plowing brutally through turn 5 there. And that is not going to work for an entire sprint race. So hopefully he's got a plan B for the race itself. But here is your starting grid. We got Havard Gullikson, who has been rising to the top of this field the last couple of weeks, and really this season with the absence of past champion James Berry. So it's Gullikson next to Castro in row 1, Andreas Friedrich next to Sally Reitinen in 3 and 4, Eero Tuominen, a name that's new to me there, next to Heinz Braun. Christoph Lipp will be next to Kjell Larson in row 4. Karakopoulos will be next to Luke Crowley in 9 and 10. Kim Andre Bjorklund and Lars Erik Friedland in 11 and 12. Sikorsky will be next to McIntosh, and George Gonzaga next to Chris Vetz. They're bringing up the back row. So as we wait for the grid to load up here, looks like we're missing Vetz. If he doesn't pop in, the iRacing is going to force the start in about 1 minute. So Vetz holding up the show right now, and that is Gullikson up front there, and he is going to have the outside line into turn 1. So that's one of these tracks. His grid box is up a little bit, but he will have the outside entry into that first turn. And Vetz is loaded up. The lights are on, and we are green at Barcelona. Pretty clean start. Great jump by Gullikson. Looks like Friedrich managed to get past Castro already. Friedrich pretty good at getting these Radicals off the line. Gullikson has moved over, and now we'll have inside position into turn 1. A very shallow entry. We'll see what happens here. And a little smooch from Friedrich, and they managed to get through clean as we are underway in Barcelona.
I honestly think it would have been smarter if Friedrich had just stayed following Gullikson there, because inevitably round the outside these tyres are cold, people are going to be aggressive, and well, understandably Andrea Castro just went right up the inside and back into second place. But I mean, still an amazing start by Friedrich and nearly put himself into the lead. But Gullikson going extremely wide there at turn 5, and that's going to give Castro an amazing opportunity to get up the inside, and into the lead goes the American into turn 7. And well, we've said this before, once Castro gets into the lead, it's very, very difficult for him to relinquish it. So it's going to be tricky for the rest of the grid to try and fight back against the American, but we will keep an eye on him, as Friedrich having to defend now from Heinz Braun. But Gullikson, of course, getting that pole position definitely has some pace and a bit of momentum, as we got some fighting here between, I believe that's Bjorklund and Kierakopoulos. Oh, there's contact in the background, and there's some angry words being said in the chat, and that was between Crowley, and I'm not sure who he made contact with, but he's not happy. He's making himself known in the voice chat.
Yeah, it may have been Sikorsky there, and we'll take a look back at that when we have a moment. But yeah, Gullikson on cold tires. That is one of the danger spots on this track. The entry to turn 5, really easy to overcook that. The braking zone is downhill. It's a tight left-hander, the tightest corner on the track. and Gullickson overcooking that entry and allowing Castro to get through. And there's Heinz Braun having a problem there. He's deep into the kitty litter, and there is an awful lot of sand here, Aaron, at this track. They have a lot of motorcycle racing here, and where you have motorcycles, you have deep kitty litter. And here is Sikorsky now. Let's see what happened with him. And he had a little help there, and or Sikorsky actually giving the help. I'm not sure who he turned there, but yeah, Aaron, there was some salty international communication there after that little bit of contact.
Yeah, Crowley was absolutely fuming with that one. I don't really know who was at fault for that one. It was a bit of an awkward one. Both kind of squeezed into each other, but this is what happened with Heinz Braun, and just completely broke I don't even know if he necessarily broke too late. It just looked like he just wasn't braking enough there. I don't quite know what happened there for Heinz Braun. He's now down at 11th. He was fighting for a podium, so he's really let himself down with that mistake. And you got a lot of progress to try and make up. Bjorklund don't Tony Hawk the outside curb this time. He doesn't. I don't know if anyone saw that on the first lap, but instead he decides to go wide on the exit of the final corner, and Bjorklund could potentially be under a bit of pressure now from Gonzaga if the slipstream is indeed powerful enough, which we know it can be. In these radicals, are we about to go 3 wide into the first corner? Luckily, no. But Heinz Braun gaining 2 places in 1 corner. They're very opportunistic by him as well. We said he needed to make progress, and he's done exactly that, up from 11th to 9th now, and has got a few seconds to the cars in front. So he's really going to have to put the loud pedal to the floor if he wants any chance to get some big boy iRacing in this race.
Yeah, and Braun historically quite aggressive in the best of times, and after that mistake, he is going to be feeling heated. And Aaron, I think what he did there, sometimes you want to widen the entry to turn 1 there by straddling the curb. So 1 tire on the pavement, 1 tire on the green. And Braun tried to brake across the bumpy red and white curbing, and that doesn't work. And you saw the result. He went straight through, and there's a car off in the background there. And that is Sikorsky having some more struggles here as he falls all the way to the back. Meanwhile, up front, it's Castro from Gullickson from Friedrich, and Gullickson managing to hang on to the back of Castro. Has got it down to 0.4, and that is certainly close enough to take advantage of the draft on this long straightaway that we're going to see him come on to now. So right along with Gullickson looking ahead at Castro. And look at that wide exit there. That is not an off. And on this track, the racing does not occur solely within the white lines. And that's one of the things you have to learn when you're working on getting fast at Barcelona. And here's Gullickson doing what Braun was trying to do, straddling that slippery curb, under braking there into turn 1, and is managing to hang pretty impressively with Castro here. Castro, one of our resident aliens, but Gullickson showing his chops here, being patient, getting on the power, coming out of that very difficult turn 3 and heading into turn 4 now, and back to the scene of the crime where Gullickson overcooked this entry right here in turn 5 on lap 1 and let Castro through. See what he does here. Manages to keep it tight. Washes out a little there. Very tough corner, Aaron.
Yeah, it can be really tricky. You have to take it so differently in different cars, and this is one of them. You know, in GT3 cars, you kind of have to keep it hooked to the inside. Some other cars, I guess, kind of like the Radical, you want to kind of V the corner in a little bit of way, go a slight touch bit deep and then cut back, get a good exit, which is what Castro did there, and did manage to gain at least a few hundreds on Gullickson. The previous lap, Castro set the fastest lap of the race, and Gullickson was not too far behind, but was just a touch slower. Probably struggling in the dirty air. It definitely looked like these final 2 corners are a struggle following another car. You can just see how much time Gullickson is losing in these final 2 corners. I mean, when we came out of, I think it was turn 10, the gap was about 4 tenths. And just in a few corners, it's now up to nearly 6. But then, of course, the slipstream gaining him all the way much. I mean, look at that. Within 1,000th of a second within one another. That is brilliant. As Friedrich is now falling even further back under pressure from Tumanen. Into turn 1, we go around the outside for the finish driver. Wow. That was brilliant.
Oh,
and nearly cutting off the nose of Friedrich. That was beautiful racing between those two, and Friedrich once again going further and further back, was nearly in first place at one point and now is in fourth, and potentially it could get worse as he's under pressure from the fellow Finn of Reitinen and Christoph Lipp as well, who admittedly Lipp has been having a tricky time in recent races, hasn't he?
Yeah, he has, and my goodness, what a move by newcomer Tuominen there. Hopefully I'm pronouncing his name correctly. Friedrich covered the inside of turn 1, and Tuominen went around the outside and got the inside of turn 2 and played the Ayrton Senna card, forcing Friedrich to choose between lifting and crash, and Friedrich backed out of it and lived to fight another day. But very ballsy move early in this one by Tuominen, as we're in the middle of lap 5 now with plenty of time left, but Tuominen not wanting to wait around, and he's got his work ahead of him, about 3-second gap up to Gullikson at this point as we ride along with Reitinen, looking ahead at Friedrich and Tuominen, the site of that last pass here. And will Friedrich try to get some revenge? He's certainly within drafting distance. That 0.4 will close down to 0 by the time we get to turn 1. We'll see what Friedrich does here.
Can't imagine he'll be close enough, but it will be very, very close. And Friedrich was just about a car length too far back. And Reitinen really struggling with understeer, it seems. Just as we rode on board with him for that last half a lap or so, he just really doesn't seem to be getting on too amazingly following another car. As especially through those final 2 corners, he was putting an awful lot of steering lock in and just desperately trying to hang the car through the corner and just about making do with it, as of course he's got Lipp behind him, so he does not want to be falling into the clutches of him, as Friedrich goes ever so slightly wide on the exit of turn 5 there. Could prove a little bit costly, as Reitinen has gained really, really well on this lap, and if he gets a good exit out of this next corner into turn 9, Friedrich could find himself under pressure, but I believe he might be okay for the time being. Going to be very, very close between those two, though. No, Friedrich has actually fallen into the clutches of another Finnish driver, but just manages to keep a hold of it into turn 10. Very tricky to overtake round the outside of that corner on this particular layout. It's very, very favourable on the inside line. And I can imagine Reitinen will be struggling once again through these final 2 corners. Doesn't look too confident through there. As again, look how much time he loses there. He could be under pressure from Christoph Lipp here. And gaining in the slipstream ever more is the German. He really is going to be able to pile on the pressure. But they're all in a slipstream train, so I guess Reitinen is safe for now. But touch wide there for the Finn. And Lipp could sniff an opportunity here around the outside, potentially at turn 3. Those left-hand tyres are going to be screeching for help as he tries to put on as much lock as humanly possible. But Reitinen, I think, with the inside line should be able to keep it, but that's not going to stop Christoph from trying to have a go anyway. And yes, Reitinen just about manages to keep a hold of it, but Lipp still hounding him and desperate to try and get past, but Reitinen really defending well here from one of the best drivers in the series.
Yeah, no doubt. Christoph Lipp is all over Reitinen like the plastic on Grandma's couch. And this whole train here, that's Tuominen from Friedrich, from Reitinen, from Lipp, from Kettle Larson, and all 5 of those cars, about 1.5 seconds between them. So that's a level of competition we have here, Radical Esports Cup. And my goodness, some entertaining stuff going on here in the front of the field. Meanwhile, Castro and Gullikson kind of driving away. Gullikson's gap is dropped a couple of tenths now. He's up to 0.6. Castro trying to drive away while the battle rages behind him.
Yeah, I think Gullikson just has been maybe pushing a touch too hard. At least a few laps ago, he did make a mistake into turn 10, I believe, and he lost about 2 or 3 tenths, which he's just about managed to claw that back over the last few laps. But Castro, like I said at the start of this, as soon as he gains the lead, it's extremely difficult for anyone to try and take it away from him. And Gullikson is really going to have to provide something special over the next few laps, as Reitinen still trying on Andreas Friedrich, but again was just not close enough. Coming out of the final corner, he got side by side with him though, so he is making progress. Very, very wide through turn 3 for Friedrich. but he'll be all right going into turn 4. You can use the outside of the track just about at turn 3, as long as you don't completely go wide, then obviously you will get an off track. But you can use most of the track on the outside, but like we mentioned before, your tyres will be screeching out for help. And we're about halfway through this race, so I don't think we'll be seeing any tyre troubles just yet for these guys. Maybe some people that have pushed the car a little bit too hard might be overheating at this current time, as Lip getting a lovely exit there out of turn 9. This could see himself putting on the pressure on Reitinen, and does. He goes up the inside there. Did he manage to make it work? No. He was... Well, that looked like a bit of a desperate move, and I don't blame him. He's been stuck behind that blue car for, well, the last, 4 or 5 laps at this point. He's probably getting a little bit fed up, and he just needs to keep his head cool, because Reitinen does seem to be quick, but is a little bit inconsistent in places and doesn't seem to have the confidence that the other drivers around him do have. But Reitinen, if he can get up into 4th and overtake Friedrich, he should be in a much better position, as that's Bjorklund going very wide in the background. Yeah,
and Lip feeling time running out. He's got about a 6-second gap to P1, and these other drivers definitely holding him up. He really wants to make something happen here. And
Castro.
Something's going on there. Looks like Braun got past Castro somehow. And
I don't know what happened there. I didn't mean to interrupt you, Gregory. I just saw Braun. Braun, you've got me saying it now. Gullickson managed to overtake Castro. What on earth happened there? He slowed down. I don't know if Castro maybe made a mistake and maybe got a slowdown somewhere. Maybe a technical problem. I don't know. And here is Castro on board with him and just listening, trying to figure out what's going on. And I don't know. I'm at a loss. I'm going to be completely honest. I don't know if that's just him trying to have fun and maybe wanted to give the place back to Gullickson. I'm at a loss. I don't really know. I don't think he would have gotten a slowdown for anything. Oh, that's extremely wide from Gullickson there. And Tuminen, everyone going very wide at the final corner there. But yeah, apparently we're not getting any off tracks or anything for Castro. There is an off track there, so maybe taking too much of the inside curb there. And he got a slowdown, maybe. And I don't know. Honestly, I'm at a complete loss. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen, that we can't really explain that one. I'm probably just going to put it down to maybe a technical fault. I don't know. Really strange from Andrea Castro. Maybe if we can get him in the booth. Actually, he's just taking the lead, so clearly he's not having too many problems. When he comes in the booth, if he manages to get an interview with us, then of course we'll ask what on earth happened there. But I mean, he's back in the lead, so I mean, Gullickson wasn't able to keep a hold of it again, and I don't know if Gullickson then gave it back. Honestly, these two are just playing with our brains at this point. But yeah, I don't even know what's going on anymore.
Yeah, and here is a replay of Castro. I think he's going to get the position back right here into turn 1 coming down the pit straight. And Gullickson makes it easy there, doesn't defend. Castro stuffs it down the inside. Gullickson tries to give him the switchback, but Castro just through there slicker than anything. Yeah, that's very mysterious, that little slowdown there. He did get a lot of curb there, Aaron, across the apex of turn 2, but you can take quite a bit there, and you do get a regular vanilla 1x before you can get a penalty there. So yeah, hopefully we can sort that out with him later on. But meanwhile, here is the back of the grid right now. That's Crowley leading Friedland, McIntosh, and Sikorsky. And well, the whole field really not that spread out, and these grids are so competitive. While up front, it's Castro still from Gullickson, from Tauminen, who's pulled out ahead of Friedrich about 2 seconds. All that fighting behind Tauminen has benefited him as he's pulled away from Friedrich, Lip, Reitinen, and now Larson and Heinz Braun are going to be sniffing around behind that train that goes from P4 to about P7. So we'll keep an eye on that. Lap 11 of 16 now, and Castro still maintaining about a 0.4 gap behind, and still racking my brain over what we saw on the track, and hopefully the drivers can sort that out for us.
I'm still just completely baffled. And Gullickson had a bit of a poor last lap as well, so I don't know. Hopefully we can have a chat with both of them after the race and just ask them what on earth was happening between like lap 9 and lap 11. Please clarify, and hopefully they will give us a fairly simple answer and not give us some, goofy math equation. Just something I've noticed as well is Tuominen really been gaining. Although, I mean, bear in mind these two obviously have been, faffing around for the last 3 laps, but I've been really impressed with him. As far as I'm aware, I've not seen Tuominen in these races ever, I don't think, and he's just popped in one day and is about to get a podium if he can stay where he is, and is not setting laps too dissimilar to the leaders. He's only about a 10th or 2 off. Really impressive from someone who, as far as I'm aware, is making their debut in this series. So very impressed with his performance so far. Managed to get past Friedrich, Lip and Reitinen, of course, fighting all of those guys. So he's gone against some of the most experienced drivers in this league and managed to best them, at least on this occasion. And hopefully we can see more of him.
Yeah, too right, Aaron. Tuominen, very impressive. He's up 2 positions from his qualifying position and is closing down on Gullickson ahead. That gap was over 3 seconds once he cleared Friedrich, and slowly but surely he's taken out a 10th here, a 10th there, and I would say he is within reach of about 5 laps left. And if this fight ahead of him keeps slowing those 2 drivers down, he could have a crack at it. And this is one of those tracks with a long straightaway where we've seen people get a 2-for-1 pass toward the end of the race, and it's not out of the question to happen here. And oh my goodness, those tires! I'm having some tire sympathy right now. This track's so hard on those fronts, and you can see him riding the understeer in that last shot, Tuominen. So they are not doing their tires any favors in this track. Diabolical in design.
Well, there you go. There's his personal best lap and was nearly as fast as Castro on that previous lap. So really he is piling on the pressure, clipping the inside curb. There is Castro, just about getting away with it. And still leading. I think Gullickson just has been struggling so much in that wake of Castro's car and just cannot get close enough. Apart from the opportunity, of course, where Castro just inexplicably slowed down. But that's the only chance he's gotten, really. The rest of the time, the closest he's gained, I think, is around 3 to 2 tenths. And that's the closest he's gotten. He's not really had an opportunity yet. And, of course, still about 4 or 5 laps left to go in this race, so anything can happen. But Gullickson, even though he managed to get pole position, at least in the race so far, just hasn't looked like the quickest driver, but it's definitely better form for the Norwegian, as like I think we mentioned last week, he won the opening round of the season, then kind of disappeared into the midfield for a little bit, and over the last 2 or 3 rounds has managed to get a reform, just a resurgence, right up to the top of the field again, and is now fighting for wins, which is what we like to see, of course, as Castro for a lot of this season has been nigh on untouchable, mostly, with the absence of drivers like James Barry. It's been very difficult for anyone to take the fight to him. Even drivers as experienced as Friedrich and Lip, even they have absolutely no answer for the pace of Andrea Castro, and he might be able this season to take his first championship victory, but of course still got a few rounds left to go, and his final home race next week at Long Beach, which I think you mentioned earlier on, Gregory. I'm just stoked for that race. I want to get this one over with and move on to next week.
Yeah, that one's going to be fantastic, and I might, after the broadcast, throw down a little bit of practice at Long Beach. I love attending that race we call it Cardi Gras up here on the West Coast, and I love driving that track as well, and it's going to be absolutely awesome. And those radicals are going to be deep into sixth gear, hauling the mail down Shoreline Drive, headed toward the picturesque aquarium there at Long Beach Harbor. But in any event, right here, right now, it is Castro from Gullikson, from Tomanen, from Friedrich, from Lip, still up front. Lip has managed to dispatch Reitinen, and is he going to try to make a move on his teammate Friedrich here in the closing minutes? And that gap from Tomanen, pretty steady. I mean, I guess he had it down to about a second and a half, and now it's 1.8. And Tomanen may just kind of be biding his time, saving his tires, and satisfied with that P3. As Aaron said, that's not a name that we've seen on the Friday broadcast before. So, to my knowledge, this is his first outing here, and he is putting on a great performance on a very difficult track. And here is Castro, and he is going under the starter stand from the second to the last time here, and Gullikson now dropped back to almost a full second. So Gullikson as well might have just kind of given up and decided to accept P2.
Potentially, or he could just be struggling with the immense amount of tire wear. Don't know. It's could be a factor of things, but Castro is just running away now. He put on an amazing last lap, a 36.6, which the closest driver is, of course, Gullikson, who his fastest lap is a 36.8, so 2/10 off. And on that last lap, it was 4/10 between those two, as Gullikson did a 37.0 on that previous lap. So Castro really, from what I have seen so far this season, he is very, very good at looking after those tires as well, as we do see a lot of drivers kind of overheating and overusing those tires over the course of a race, and especially once it gets to those final few laps, that is when we see the quickest of Castro, when he actually manages to pull away from these guys. And that's what he's doing with Gullikson right now. He's managed to save a little bit of heat, a little bit of tread in those tires. And look at that previous corner, he just gained 3/10 coming out of turn 12, and now it's up to 4/10 on Gullikson. And, well, I mean, if the Norwegian isn't careful, he could potentially fall into the clutches of Schumanen on this final lap, as we are on the white flag lap. And, yeah, Gullikson was, wow, that's over half a second slower than Castro. He, I think you're right, Gregory, he might just be settling for a second place at this point. But if it's not, and that is true pace, well, he's got something to worry about on this last lap, and might have to look in his rearview mirrors.
Yeah, Castro absolutely conducting a tire management clinic here, and you overdrive the car while it's heavy at the beginning of the race. You won't have anything left for the end. And now Castro looks like his fronts are working better than anyone else. His car is lighter, and he is absolutely flying right now. That gap to Gullikson now up to 2 seconds, and Tomanen behind has got Gullikson down to 1. And there we got a pass in the back there. That is McIntosh dispatching Chris Betts, and even though, whoa, and there's the curse. My goodness. And I think that was Wetz.
That was Friedland.
Oh, it was Friedland into the wall there in the blue car. My goodness. And yeah, as this one is winding down, I really can't wait to hear these drivers' perspectives on how these tires handled Barcelona, and whether it had an impact on the race, or maybe we're just, madly speculating and it didn't have any impact on him at all. But here comes Castro onto the pit straight here for the last time, have it driven away from Gullikson. Gullikson threatened him throughout the race, but here at the end, Castro put the hammer down and is going to win easily by 2 seconds as he takes the checker flag. And as the rest of our field comes through, it's going to be Castro from Gullikson, from Tomanen, and Lip not able to get past Friedrich, and probably a frustrating race for him as he was bottled up by traffic for the majority of that one. Got past 1 or 2 cars, but I'm sure he would have rather been up at the front with Castro and Gullikson trying to get on the podium. Yeah,
Lip seemingly struggling to get to grips over the last few rounds, as where he's gone from fighting for wins and podiums to now just fighting for kind of 5th, 6th and 7th, as Or even last week, I think it was at Brands Hatch, where he was kind of hanging around, you know, inside that top 10, then had his big accident, and then just started setting fastest laps. It is very strange from Christoph Lipp. I don't know if he's just been struggling in the next few rounds. We can see his true pace come alive once again, but no man has been able to outclass Andrea Castro really so far this season. He has been on it this whole time, and very, very few drivers have managed to take the fight to him. And it's just becoming a more difficult task for the entire field, as that is a very, very commanding win for Andrea Castro at a track which is usually fairly close between the field, and it was today 30 seconds covering the top 15 drivers. 2 seconds is quite a lot, admittedly, and especially 4/10 on that last lap between himself and Gullickson. So very, very impressive from Andrea Castro, and surely over the last 2 rounds he should be able to secure this championship if he can keep it on the road.
Yeah, too right, Aaron. And we're going to have those final results for you in just one moment. Aaron will run through those with you, and I'll take a peek out in the hall and see if we can get any of these drivers in for a chat.
I hope we can get Castro in, especially because I do have some questions, but in the end, it didn't matter. He ended up winning, of course, here at Catalonia, 2 seconds ahead of Havard Gullickson, who gave it his best, but just was not enough in the end. Tumanen, I think, on his debut, getting a podium in the number 3 car, finishing in 3rd. Not too far behind, so keep an eye out for him if he decides to return to this series in future races, potentially future seasons as well. Andreas Friedrich in the number 4 car, finishing in 4th, rather fitting to be fair, 6 seconds behind the lead, and Christoph Lipp was very close at the end to getting his teammate, but was just a fraction too short. The number 6, Sauli Raitanen in 6th, and then Heinz Braun, number 7 in 7th, Larsen, the number 8 in 8th, Denny Kirakopoulos unfortunately breaking the streak. The number 10 car in 9th, and to round out the top 10 is his teammate of George Gonzaga, and then Luke Crowley 11th, Bjorklund, McIntosh, Freideland, Sikorsky, and then Chris Wetz in last, and the only driver to be a lap down. But overall, a fairly decent race, about what I expected for Catalonia, to be honest. It's not my favourite track, but let's just go to Long Beach already.
Yeah, Long Beach right around the corner. And we do have Havard Gullickson out, but I'm just going to jump in right here and run through this season standings right now. Kind of interesting. Up front is Andreas Friedrich, followed by Gullickson, followed by Castro. So that is the top 3 in the world that you saw dicing it in the front of this race here on Apex Racing TV. And those 3 drivers separated by only 50 points. So this one is not over, and it's going to come down to Long Beach, and it's going to come down to the green hell over the next 2 weeks. So this season is going to end fantastically. And the rest of the top 10 will be Lipp, Bjorklund, Raitanen, Braun, Larsen, Gonzaga, and Mika Hulkinen will round out the top 10. But let's go ahead and bring in your P1 driver today, Havard Gullickson. And Havard, great race today. And my goodness, we were sitting here speculating about what might be happening with your front tires out there on the track, and everybody's. Barcelona notoriously tough on those fronts, particularly turn 3. And we saw a couple position changes between you and Castro down the stretch. So were you running out of grip up front, and what was going on down the stretch in that one?
It was very, very hard to stay in second. The tires, I think they overheat quite quickly. And he let me pass just to be a nice guy, I think. And he passed me the next lap, so I had no chance. I tried my best, but Andre was the quickest guy today.
Yeah, Andre has a lot of pace, and I think you came off of pole position, so you're no slouch either. But I just went through the standings, And looking ahead, you are within about 20 some odd points of Andreas Friedrich, currently in P1 on the season. Castro right behind you, about 20 points behind you. So as we finish up the season over the next 2 weeks at Long Beach and Nordschleife, those races are going to matter for the championship. So as you're looking ahead at that schedule, how are you feeling about your ability to push up into P1 on the season?
Hard to say. I will try my best, but I think the Long Beach will be hopefully a good race. But the Nordschleife is not my favorite track, so yeah, we'll see.
All right. Well, certainly doing your best and being consistent and finding pace are certainly what we've seen out of you all season. So we'll wish you the best of luck in that. And as we wrap up, is there anyone you would like to thank or give a shout out to today?
Yes, thank you guys for always bringing this good show. Always nice to watch. And all my teammates in IGL Coatings and Sande Trafikkskole.
Excellent. All right, Havard, thank you so much, and looking forward to seeing you on the track next week.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right, Aaron. Well, your wish is granted, and Andre Castro was in the waiting room. I'll go ahead and bring him in and let you pry the information loose out of him that you were looking for.
Well, I mean, first off, before I do start interrogating you, Andrea, obviously, congratulations on the victory. I would say it wasn't easy, but I mean, it looked kind of easy, to be honest. I'd be lying to you and myself. But I mean, before I ask you any questions, what was going on lap 9? Gullickson seems to think you just let him pass to be a nice guy. I mean, that's what I said. Is that true, or did you have some issues? Was it a slowdown? What can you tell us?
No, I'm not a nice guy. I'm kind of a dickhead, so I wouldn't do that. I got to slow down in the second to last corner.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
So I was trying to give it away the most strategic way possible, but in the end, I was running out of time, and I was gonna get a black flag if I didn't back off. So you can really cut that second to last corner quite a bit, and then you can be almost like left side tires in the curb, and that's fine. But if you go a little bit too far, it'll get you. So yeah, that got me. And then he left the door wide open for me to come back. I guess. I had a good pace today. It would have been hard to keep me back, but he kind of just left the door open, got back in, and kind of scooted away. I mean, I was surprised that obviously Howard had really good pace again. Just like last week, last week he destroyed us, and this week he was really quick. So it's good to come out on top. I was surprised that the rest of the field was as far behind as they were, but obviously we'll take it. And having the battle with Havard was really nice. And I just needed to bounce back after Brands, because that was he was so quick there. But it's a fun race, looking forward to finishing out the championship strong.
Yeah, that was something that we were discussing just a minute ago, is the fact that we've only got 2 rounds left. Of course, Long Beach, which we're all looking forward to. I'm guessing you are. It looks like a fun track. It's going to be your final home race of the season. And then, of course, traditionally finishing the season at the Nordschleife. But you do have a potential shot at the championship. It looks extremely close up at the front between, I believe it's yourself, Gullickson and Friedrich, all of you separated by about 50 points. And do you think it's going to be possible for you to be able to grab that championship victory, or do you think it might just be a touch out of reach?
I don't know. I mean, it depends. I mean, I missed the first 2 races and then had a couple bad races to start the year, and then since then it's been pretty good. So I don't know. It depends. We'll have to see. But no matter what, it's just it's another good season. Having a lot of fun with the Radicals, and I'm not putting too much emphasis on the championship. Obviously, it's the motivation, but if it doesn't work out, then it is what it is. I feel like I've performed well, so yeah, just trying to keep doing well and keep having fun, and obviously, this is the closest I've ever been to 7K. So hopefully after a couple more races, I'll be there, and that'll be a good personal goal to have achieved. So having fun at the moment.
Yeah, I was about to mention the fact that it's basically just an iRacing farm at this point. So fair enough. 7K, of course, like you said, is a pretty big achievement. So hopefully you can hit that at some point in the last 2 rounds. And, well, thank you, as always, Andrea, for coming and having a quick chat with us. And before we let you go, anyone you want to give a quick mention or shout out to?
Yeah, thanks to you guys again, and thanks to Harvard for clean race, and everybody for having respect out there. And yeah, I'm already looking forward to the end of the season and the start of next season.
Oh, thank you for the kind words, Andrea. And I'm sure Gullickson, after maybe feeling a bit salty that he lost the lead twice, probably is feeling a little bit better after you complimenting him. But anyway, thank you, Andrea, and good luck in those final 2 rounds.
All right, thank you guys.
All right, and that was Andre Castro, your winner. And man, oh man, tight stuff up at the top of the standings on the season. I can't recall anything coming down to the wire like this. So you're definitely going to want to watch the last 2 rounds next Friday and the following Friday, 2100 GMT, the Long Beach Grand Prix circuit, followed by Nordschleife. So you don't want to miss either of those. And folks, we are not just about these fantastic radicals here at Apex Racing TV. We have got some of the best esports drivers, best cars, and best tracks 7 days a week. And on Monday, I want you to tune into the Rikmatech World Challenge. That's multi-class sports car racing at the fantastic Monza circuit. On Tuesday, Apex Racing Academy Porsche Cup will be at Hungaroring, and Operation E-Motorsport will be fighting it out at Laguna Seca. And on Thursday, again, the Apex Racing League GT3 Trophy will go to Hockenheim in Germany. So be sure and subscribe to Apex Racing TV, hit that like button, and hit that notify button so you don't miss any of the action coming up. And Aaron, Long Beach, Long Beach, Long Beach, down to Long Beach, Long Beach. What are your thoughts about next week? Are you there? Oh,
sorry. I'm here. My bad. I wasn't expecting you to ask me any more questions. I think I mentioned a few times. I'm very much looking forward to Long Beach. It's an amazing track as an entertainment venue, but driving, it's still good, but it's going to be very, very tricky for those guys out there. And looking forward to it, definitely.
Yeah, good mix of stuff. Low speed corners, some mandatory curb hits that these radicals are not thrilled with, and a big draft, of course, down shoreline. So, we'll be looking for that as well. All right. Well, folks, thank you so much for joining us for today's broadcast. This has been week 10 of the 2025 Season 1 Radical Esports Cup. And be sure to join us next week for more radical action in the streets of Long Beach, California. I am J.R. Gregory on behalf of myself, my partner Aaron Smith, our producer Joshua Wilkie, and everyone here at Apex Racing TV. Have a great Friday and an even better weekend.
Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.